Let's return back to Sudan and UK mobilising troops. Some 1,400 military personnel are now involved in the evacuation of British passport holders. Only those who are British passport holders will be eligible to come to this country, and their immediate family members who already have existing UK entry clearance. Let's talk about this with Salah Tahir. He's a data analyst and he lives in London. His mother, though, is stuck in Sudan. Good morning to you, Salah.
Morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Can't imagine how worried you've been in recent days. Your mother is a British national, 62 years old, stuck in Sudan. Was she living there temporarily? Was she on holiday? What were the circumstances why she was in the country when the basically these latest warring factions broke out?
Yeah, she was there on holiday to see her family, her mother, and so forth. She was just there for a month or so. She was meant to come back to London actually this coming Friday.
Right, and then of course we saw 11 days ago these two warring generals, the fighting intensified. It's not been a stable country for a very long time, but again, people still visit their families. So she went home. When did you start having concerns about her safety when you were reading reports about what was happening in Sudan?
It was the first day when they attacked the airport. I knew right away that was going to be a big issue going forward because we don't have that many airports in Sudan.
Yeah.
For international flights. So that was the day we started panicking.
I'm not surprised. Have you been able to keep in touch with her? We know that communications have been difficult. Certainly with some people we were trying to talk to, communications broke down. Have you been able to speak to her every day to make sure she's safe?
Most of the time, yes, but there have been some blackouts, internet blackouts, and also electricity is always cut for a few hours a day. So that's also an issue. And they have to conserve data and battery.
Yeah, indeed. And therefore, I can imagine the panic when you can't get through. Well, we were told only yesterday by a Foreign Office Minister, Andrew Mitchell, in the Commons, that people were told to sit tight, but all they could make at their own risk, make their way to try and evacuate. But we know that the land border is 500 plus miles away at Port Sudan. We're looking at, a 3-day journey. We've now got this 3-day ceasefire. We've seen ceasefires before not hold, and there's obviously a concern there. But 1,400 military personnel from Britain now trying to evacuate. They've been telling British nationals, if you're a passport holder, we'll get you out, but sit tight and wait until you're contacted. Has she made contact with Foreign Office staff? Are you having to make contact as well? What sort of efforts have they made to be in touch with her so far?
Yeah, so I registered her on the form last week, the first day it happened, and I called them as well. There's like 2 separate lists, so they added them to both lists. We've just been following the travel updates on the gov.uk website, but she hasn't received a call personally yet, and neither have I regarding any evacuation for her. The last update was happening just about an hour ago. They're going to focus on families with babies below 18, kids below 18, and also the elderly and sick. So maybe she doesn't fall in that category just yet.
So you can understand, she would not be in the top priority. I think we can understand. I think we want to get children out first, and those who are infirm. But she's currently safe. Has she been having to shelter from, explosions and gunshots? Because other people we've heard from have literally been under the bed for hours at a time to avoid the violence.
Yeah, so she's currently residing in Durman, which is relatively safer than Khartoum and Bahri, but they still hear gunshots and bombs every day. So they've obviously been sheltering. They haven't left the house for the past week or so. Just like maybe supply runs here and there for my cousins to try and do. But it's getting quite dangerous now because the RSF are being pushed out of Khartoum. So they're either going up north to Medini or down south through Durman. So we're now worried that it's going to be affecting us more immediately.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's such a volatile situation, and the Foreign Office had said the operation to evacuate could change at short notice during the volatile truce. If it does hold, if your mother is able to get to the airport, is there a family member who could drive her? And how long would that journey be if she was having to make her own way to the airport? Or have you been given any information about a central meeting place, say in Khartoum, where she could be taken to then be taken by military forces?
Yeah, so currently I'm in several different WhatsApp groups that the Sudanese diaspora have created. I don't want to expose the location of the other place right now.
Please don't, yes.
To the safe side. But We are close enough, perhaps, to get there, but it's unverified if it's safe to get there. There's no convoys or anything, so it's up to her own risk. We don't know if it's safe enough for her to travel there.
Yeah, and that's that trade-off, isn't it? You want to get her out of the country. She desperately wants to leave, but not knowing at any given day or any given hour whether the safest thing is to stay in the house or to take the risk of getting somewhere where you may be able to get airlifted.
Exactly, and then the issue as well is she's with her family and she doesn't want to leave them alone in this situation. So it's a very difficult situation to be in, where you have to choose between your family or your own safety.
And they won't be presumably British passport holders and therefore not eligible for these flights.
Some of them are Canadian, some of them are, but most of them are Sudanese nationals. Yeah.
Yeah. Is she scared?
Terrified, but she's being very brave though.
And are you scared?
I've been on fight or flight mode for the past 2 weeks. I'm trying my best to hold it together. So just so I can support my family from here. We've been coordinating efforts. I got my dad's side to Egypt now. They just made it there. That was a long effort to get that to happen. So the diaspora have been doing an amazing job to try and coordinate their families as much as they can, with raising money, with sorting out buses and coaches, with passing on to credit and communicating between the embassies and so forth. I feel like if it wasn't for them, a lot of our families would be stranded right now. And
that leads me to my final questions, really, about what the British government has been doing. I've been criticised by quite a lot of our people, our listeners, our audience, getting in touch. So you're criticising the British government. It just seems to me that, and certainly from a very senior figure I've spoken to earlier today in the Ministry of Defence, they feel that the Foreign Office has let people down again, not learnt lessons from the Kabul airlift. Very different circumstances, admittedly, but the sort of lack of information, lack of swift action. Once again, the military have to come in and save the day. Do you feel that, you're a British national, your mother is a British national, overseas visiting families, everyone is entitled to do, caught up through no fault of her own in this war, that you've been given the help that you need?
Well, I mean, obviously, I understand it's a very difficult situation for any country to deal with. And I think maybe the biggest issue is because we're in constant communication with a lot of different nationals, and maybe it was easier for the other nationalities because they're in a smaller number. And I understand we have 4,000 registered British citizens, and like the Americans have 16,000, for example. And maybe they didn't want to commit to something they can't achieve, and they're afraid to let the people down. I am a little bit disappointed in terms of the communications being very slow. We have to wait for travel updates on gov.uk website, while other nationals get personal emails directed to them and phone calls. We don't have that kind of support system. But I'm glad that they're doing something now and they started to work on it now. But I feel like a lot of the other embassies were working together, and whenever I called them, they're like, the British are not involved. So that's like...
Yeah, that's very telling. I really appreciate you joining us. I wish you the best luck for you and your mum. We'll stay in touch with you, and hopefully we'll see that your mum out on one of those flights very, very soon.